tell you guys what, right now, quietly quitting is all the rage. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you guys ever quietly quit? Because I'm going to raise my hand high in the sky right now because I may have potentially quietly quit a few times in my life. And I'll tell you what, guys, there may be tax advantages to quietly quitting that nobody is talking about. Stay tuned. I want to tell you guys all about the potential tax advantages and tax savings that are available to you if you decide to quietly quit. Stay tuned. I'll be right back here in a second. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. You got it. You know who I am. That's right. I am AndreReese.biz. That's right. AndreReese.biz. I'm your favorite guy. Tax, bookkeeping, accounting. I take care of selling on Amazon, eBay, online. I do all that incredible stuff. And as you guys know, I was born with a magnificent gift. That's right. I'm able to see tax deductions and business opportunities no matter where I look. Stay tuned. Of course, I always tell you guys about those at the end of the video here. Make sure you guys take a chance and visit my website, AndreReese.biz, and book a consultation if you guys are looking at trying to figure out how to maximize your tax savings here before the year is up. You're looking at trying to start a business potentially and get that off the ground to try to find out what potential tax deductions, what types of systems you should put in place to be able to track your deductions. You can always book a consultation, like I said, on AndreReese.biz. Reach out to me today and we can go ahead and get you going. And remember, guys, this is never financial advice at all. It's just for entertainment purposes only. And I always reiterate this whenever I say this. I am not an attorney. I never even played one on television. Not a financial advisor at all either. Never played one of those on television either. But for sure, I am AndreReese.biz, and you can always book a consultation. That way we can get you set up with a game plan that will be customized for you. Other than that, this information, like I said, you're going to be listening to today is just for educational purposes only. All right, guys. One last thing. Make sure you guys take a chance and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button down there at the bottom and go ahead and like the video as well. Really appreciate that. That helps get this content out there to the interwebs and allowing other people to be able to find it and find value from it. So let's go ahead and talk about it, guys. So actually, before I even do that, take a look around. I don't know if I've ever, you guys are used to having me do, I have my home office studio at home. So what I'm doing right now is I actually had a number of microphones that were in this particular location. This is my business office, and so what I do here is I meet clients, etc. I've gotten rid of the other Yeti equipment, and I went ahead and bought one studio standard microphone. I got another one coming. So pretty soon I will be doing interviews, which will be great, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So just a matter of me getting additional equipment, getting that set up, and you guys will be able to see me having interviews, which will be great, and we'll be talking about a lot of different topics that you may be able to find interesting, which will be great. So let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. The reason why you tuned in today is because, quietly quitting right now is definitely all the rage. But one of the things that people are not talking about or discussing is that there are potential tax advantages to quietly quitting. So, okay, let's back it up real quick. What exactly is quietly quitting? So if you haven't heard what this term is, essentially, let's just say this. If you, people traditionally before in the past, they may consider themselves to have been treated very well. They would go get a job working at the plant, right out of high school. They'd stay there for 35, 40 years or whatever it was. They'd retire. They'd be able to get a pension, medical, dental, vision care for life. They'd be able to buy a nice little home in the suburbs, take a few trips here and there. And they were more or less rewarded for their hard work. And this is kind of what a lot of people kind of feel is kind of lacking these days. So when it comes to quietly quitting, and if you fast forward to 2022, we all went through a pandemic recently, and a lot of people had a chance to really work at home. And I'll tell you, there is a difference between working at home and working in an office every day. So once you get home and you start to work and you're able to get up and have freedom to take breaks, to go to the store, to go outside and walk around, it's almost similar to being self-employed, but not quite, because somebody still controls your time. And so what's happened is companies have overall have wanted more and more productivity out of people. And a lot of times productivity translates into working more. So you're going to be waking up early in the morning, staying up late at night, answering emails and text. So more or less, there's no boundaries to the work arrangement where, 50 years ago, when you got a job working at the plant, you came in at a particular time, you went home at a particular time. If you stayed late, you got paid overtime, and then time and a half or, double time, whatever it might be. And that ultimately was reflected in your paycheck. A lot of people that are professionals now that are quietly quitting, they get paid on salary, so they may get a bonus, whatever it might be. Some of them may not get a bonus anymore, or maybe reduced now since, we're going through a potential recession and all that. But what it all comes down to is, people decide that they make a choice where instead of them working all hours of the day, taking time out of their life to not being able to take time out of their life to be able to do some of the things that they need to do, working on weekends, holidays, whatever it might be. People have kind of rebelled against that now during the, post-pandemic. So the pandemic's still going on. Nothing's really changed. The way that people are approaching the pandemic is a little bit different now. But this is one of the things that are kind of left over from the pandemic. A lot of people feel that if they're not going to get paid more, they're going to be asked to do a lot more work. They're not going to do it unless they have, some concessions and, time to be able to increase their quality of life, whatever it might be. And if they're not going to do that, they're going to basically set those original boundaries that used to exist before when you worked at a plant. Things are a little bit different now. Like I said, when you worked at a plant, you clocked in, you clocked out, you worked from 9 to 5, and you went home, whatever it might be. So people now that are professionals that are quietly quitting, or they may be some people that are in the service industry, they're only going to work within their limited amount of hours, so they're not going to do anything extra. They're not going to take on any extra task. They're not going to, burn themselves out in order to be able to provide additional profitability to the company. Now, is this a good thing to do? I'm not going to say one way or another. I think that one of the things that I've learned in my life is when it comes to working for the man, you have to make a trade-off. There's either you're going to get knowledge or you're going to get money. And so sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself and your life in order to be able to get the knowledge to be able to make money later on. But as you start to make a lot more money later on, your expertise grows. A lot of times the amount of requirements that you have will decrease, depending on the company, of course. And, but you're going to be compensated a lot more, And so when I look at myself and when I went back to college, I graduated from high school, failed and flunked out of community college, worked for a while. And then at some point around 25, I decided I need to go back to school. I went back to school as a returning student. I took school, completely serious, but I also realized that I didn't want to necessarily continue to work for somebody else. So I wanted to go into the accounting profession. I realized that I needed to go out there and work for somebody else to be able to gain the knowledge and skills needed to be able to do the work that's necessary to be self-employed. So I spent a lot of time working for different firms along the way, et cetera, to be able to get the knowledge. And I sacrificed income, I sacrificed time, I worked a lot of hours, whatever it might have been, to be able to get to the point where I am now, where I can actually have command over my own time. I can set a billing rate, people pay it. I can decide to walk away from engagements if I don't want to do them or if they don't fit my life or where my business direction is. I have a lot of freedom of choice to be able to do that kind of stuff now, and so one of the things that you look at when you have that freedom is that it takes quite a bit of a sacrifice to be able to get to that point, and so along the way, what happened with me is when you first start out, in the trenches, you work really hard, but as you start to learn a little bit more, you learn how the game works, and you're able to kind of manipulate things. So in my life, I've had a couple instances where I more or less worked my hours that I was supposed to work, and I always had the idea and the mindset of trying to be able to, like I said, become self-employed. So what I would do when I was working is I'd have certain number of tasks to do, certain number of jobs to do. I became hyper efficient in being able to get those things done. I was very inventive in utilizing technology to be able to, create tools that allowed me to get my job done like that. And in some of the environments I worked in, there wasn't a lot of extra work to do. And so what I did working within the boundaries of time, coming in at a certain time, leaving at a certain time while I was at work. One of the tax advantages like I've said, one of the tax advantages that are available to you if you decide to quietly quit is you should start your own business. So if you've decided to reduce yourself down to a certain amount of hours and you're still on the clock and your job is, you've set hard boundaries on what you're going to do, the tax advantages of quietly quitting would be to start your own business, and so I've always have done that along the way in my professional career, where I've had the ability to work, get my job done, but also too at the same time I was working on building my tax and accounting practice. I had tools I would use to be able to log into my system. I would communicate with clients, I would send emails, texts, whatever they might have been, and I would sometimes log in and do work, only within the guise of I didn't have really anything else to do. So if you decide to quietly quit, you're not going to do anything else at all. You're just going to just sit there and wait around to potentially get terminated, have your job be eliminated. That doesn't help you out at all. So I would say if you're going to make the decision to decide to quietly quit, you should, back it up with something else that's going to help you out, and so, and like I said, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go about this, but I'm just talking about this, one particular example here. And so, like I said, when I had my job very much defined before, and I continued to work on my business, I was able to build up, get clients, be able to get work done, be able to set up meetings. So when I was people would reach out to me during the daytime. I would answer those questions, whatever they might have. I'd set up meetings for the evening. And I was able to build my practice over a number of years of working. So, of course, especially in the accounting and tax business, there's cycles of, boom and bust, feast and famine. And so a lot of times during the periods where there was a lot of, famine, there wasn't a lot of work to do. Those are the times where I really would focus on working heavily on my business. So I could really think of probably at least 3 or 4 positions that I've worked in my life where I spent a lot of time, working on my business and being able to still get the job done at work, and I didn't do a lot of extra stuff, at home. So like I said, the tax advantages of quietly quitting is really taking advantage of that time that you have now that you're not going to be doing other stuff with, or you've got your job to the point where you can get it done quickly. Utilize that time to be able to start a business, that you can run from your cell phone, or from an internet connection, or you can log in remotely to your computer, you might have at home, that might be hosting some stuff that you're doing for your individual business. So those are definitely options to be able to take advantage of the time. And people tell you all the time, this is not anything that's new, is that whenever you start a business for the first time, you don't want to quit your day job. You want to focus a lot of energy and effort on trying to build your business up so you get to the point where you have so much outside work that if you just took time off from your full-time job, you'd be able to explode and continue on. And I've personally myself, I have quit and went and became self-employed and had to come back to the W-2 world, and then finally quit again probably 6 years ago, I think it was. So the first time I quit was when my daughter was born. I came back and I worked as a contractor. At that particular job that I was working at, it was very much structured. There wasn't a lot to do. And I was able to get my job to the point where I was able to work it and get everything I needed to get done. It was an analyst position. I was able to get everything I needed to get done for the month in about 2 working days. So the rest of the time I had there, you figure there's 5 times 4. So there's 20. So 18 days a month, I would be able to have time to be able to get my own business built and keep working on that. I had really 2 strong days, let's just say 3 days, that I would be able to work very diligently and efficiently at the requirements of the job for that position. So the rest of the time, I was more or less there. I was a body in the seat. If somebody came along, they had an inquiry, whatever it might have been, inquiry, I'd be able to answer that real quick. But the majority of the time, like I said, 2 days worth of work and about, another day worth of just general questions throughout the month that may come up. So my job really consisted of about 3 days a month, and I was being paid full time for the rest of the time. And I would work. I was able to log into my computers at home. Like I said, I was able to meet clients in the evening, set up appointments, those type of things. So while I was quietly quitting, I was building my business. And of course, when you have a business, you have tax advantages you're able to receive from that, cell phone, mileage, etc. And we'll talk about all those things here in the very, very end. But that was my tax advantage there. And so once I got out on my own, they needed help after I came back and I quit. And so I was able to have them come on as a client, and I helped them search and find a replacement for me. And then I came in, believe it or not, they were kind of like, well, what are we going to do when you leave? Because you have a very specific title and job, what you do. I was like, you know what? I can come in 2 days a month and I can do what needs to be done. That way you guys have what you need to be able to continue on and run the business. And so that's what they did. So I think for probably 9 months or so, I would come in and I would do the job of that position. And I would bill them, of course, for my time that I was there. And I would complete all the work that needed to be done for the month in those 2 days. Of course, they were amazed, but they didn't realize that I had, systematized everything to the point where I can kind of do that. So that's kind of one example. And then I worked on my own for a number of years, maybe 2, building my clientele, building my base. And then the recession hit, where we had the housing crash. I lost a lot of clients, had to cut some service fees. And then I went back to work as a W-2 employee while I still continued to work on building my business at the next level. So, as I was doing that, I was trying to make it happen. I was working hard. I was hustling. I was still doing the W-2 job and still continuing to build my business on the outside. I let them know up front. I said, hey, I'm coming here to work for you guys, but I still have my outside, job as well. And what I would do is I got my positions that I was working to the point where I was highly systematized and able to get those things, done as well. And then in the meantime, I was able to do other stuff and still handle running my business, still be able to handle client inquiries, be able to talk to people on the phone, if it was on a break or a lunch or whatever it might be, sent a lot of texts, sent a lot of emails, logged into my system remotely, and handled all that stuff as well. So even as I made a second transition back into the workforce, I had boundaries within my job that I would do. There was only certain hours that I'd work, whatever it might be. When I was there, I was able to do the tasks, do the work. But I also, worked on continuing to build my business. And I got to the point where my practice had built back up again so much the second time that I ended up giving my notice. And I ended up, I gave a long notice. I think it was probably 6 months. And that's one of the things. If you want to, and I consider myself right now to be retired. And this happened to me twice, my exit from the W-2 world. If you look up online, if you're a professional, how do you know that you are a professional that's retired? So if you work at the plant, you're delivering packages or whatever, you decide one day you want to retire, you're gone, your job still continues on, stuff still continues to function. But if you are a true professional that has isolated skills that a business needs to keep on running, when you walk away and you leave, they can get hurt. And because you have all the knowledge, information, and business processes in your head, where you can really hurt and destroy them if you kind of walked away. It not necessarily destroy them, but you can more or less issue a very, very strong blow to them. So the positions that I worked in on my way out, I had commanded so much. I was responsible for so much and knew so much that if I walked away and stopped, major operations within the company would halt, and everybody would feel it. And so that's one of the ways that you can always work on making yourself very, very valuable in the world. And maybe you don't have to quietly quit, who knows? But, you want to make yourself so valuable that if you walk away, it's like flipping off the lights and everything goes dark. That you have superior knowledge, information, command of systems, whatever it might be, where you can really, truly affect the employer if you walked away. So the second time when I walked away, like I said, I gave a long notice. And the premise of this whole story is, if you look online and you're quitting, how do you know you quit a professional? Because you give a very, very long notice. You don't just give a 2 weeks notice. That's how you know that you're retired. Let me rephrase that. If you give a long notice and they utilize you, and then once you're gone, you're still on retainer, or they still will call you to answer questions, to solve problems, to help walk them through information. You're there to train the next person. And this process can take, 6 months to a year, to be able to do. And so if you are able to do that with your last employer, you know that you truly are retired at that point. You're kind of doing your own thing. And so when I've walked away from the W-2 world both times to become self-employed fully, that's what actually happened. So those people that I work for as a W-2 employer, as a W-2 employee, they became clients, and then I had a long exit point out of there as they, got over the initial shock of me leaving, and then had a chance to really take time to define what they wanted to do, and then rewrite the positions if they needed to, and then go on an extensive search to be able to try to find somebody to replace me. And then, of course, I'm there, for a long period of time, helping the new person, really get acclimated to the system so that everything keeps on going. So that's kind of the position that you want to be in. And so if you decide to quietly quit, it's all good. Do what you got to do. I've been there maybe before in my life, but what I encourage everybody to do is at least look at the benefits, the tax benefits of quietly quitting, where instead of just sitting there playing on your phone all day, Instagram, playing video games, take the time to establish a business. And if you can establish the business, you'll have something that you can build on your own. And I'll tell you, if you quit and you work for yourself, it is still 1,000 times better than working for a W-2 employer and working from home. There's just no comparison between the two of them, and so a lot of people got kind of a taste of what that feels like, but it's not the same as being an entrepreneur. It's just not the same at all. So I would encourage everybody to try to become an entrepreneur as soon as they can. And if you have to take advantage of, quietly quit to be able to do that, you got to do what you got to do, so, and you wouldn't be the first person or the last person to, work for somebody else and still, work on something else. It happens in almost every trade or profession, and I can think of the number of times where I have had, a house painted or had the carpet changed or tile work done, and the person only comes in the evening or the weekends and they do the work because they have a full-time job during the day and they're doing the kind of like the side hustle in the evening. And so that's and if you have the ability, like I said, to quietly quit and start another business, utilize that. Just don't waste that opportunity, and be ready to go at any time. And if your employer decides, hey, I'm done with you, you got to always have a quick plan B to be able to keep yourself going, keep yourself afloat. So that's it, guys. Quietly quitting, like I said, it is the rage right now. I encourage anybody that's doing the quiet quit to take the time to start a business, or if you already have a business, work on it as much as you can to be able to try to get to the point where when that opportunity ends, because it will at some point, if they decide to, management always knows who's productive. There's always inefficiencies built into every business. There's always people that work more than others do. And management is very much aware of that. But when it comes time for them to trim and they come after the people that have made the decision to quietly quit, you want to make sure that you're not just out there on your behind trying to figure out how to make it work because you were making a statement. So utilize your time at all times to advance yourself. And if you find a glitch in the matrix where you're able to do two things at one time to be able to advance yourself to the next level, I always encourage you to try to take advantage of those things. Of course, they may potentially come with consequences, so always tread lightly. So I'll go ahead and wrap everything up here on quietly quitting. I've got nothing else to say to you guys. And then just to go ahead and wrap everything up down here. Like I said, there's always business opportunities in any one of these videos that I talk about, And the main thing here is if you're able to quietly quit, start a business. It doesn't make a difference what kind of business it is. And preferably, if you're working on a computer all day long, you're going to utilize that computer to be able to start an online business or something that you can do. It can be anything from, reviewing resumes and correcting them if you work in HR. It can be trying to sell things online on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, build an Etsy store. You could be buying stuff on Alibaba, and trying to, sell those things, selling on Amazon. You can almost do anything that people may want to have. And if you're somebody that works in an office, you have a knack for doing handy things around the office, around the house, you can always take the time to set up a business where you do Handyman services, a lot of people work during the daytime and they're not home until the weekends or the evenings. And that works out great because you can turn around and set up your appointments during the daytime to deal with people in the evening when you get off work. And I know when I first started my tax practice, I would actually go meet my clients, all of them, at their houses. I didn't go to Starbucks. I don't even think they even had Starbucks around back then, 20 years ago in the Bay Area. But I would actually go to my client's house and meet them as they were getting home. I'd sit at the kitchen table. They would make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm just exaggerating. But I would work right there and be able to get it done. So like I said, go ahead and start your business, make it happen. And you can pretty much do anything that's within your skill set. And if it's anything you can do online from your cell phone or from your computer that you may be working on, logging in your computer remotely at home, those are all good businesses to start if you're trying to quietly quit. And then of course the deductions are the same ones that are available to anybody that starts a business. And I think if you're looking at yourself on an individual basis, you're not a corporation, you don't have a lot of people around you. It's all the stuff that you typically are not able to deduct if you are just an ordinary citizen. So you're able to now start deducting your mileage, your cell phone, any types of supplies, if you're going to meet clients in the evening for, meals, those type of things. You set up a home office at home, you're going to be able to deduct, part of your mortgage or your rent or your PG&E, your gas, electric, those type of things. Of course, always cell phone, always the internet, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I encourage you guys, as you decide to do this, there is a process to becoming a business owner. All you got to do is just wake up one day and say, I started a business. And then the second thing you do is try to go out and try to earn money. The third thing you try to do is keep track of all your expenses so that you can minimize your tax bill at the end of the year. And like I said, you can always book a consultation with me, AndreReese.biz. Visit my website and reach out to me directly. And to give you an idea, I meet with people all the time and I charge a fee of $195, and that allows them to sit down with me for an hour. We talk about their business in detail. We go through potential deductions that they may be eligible for. We talk about ways that they can structure their lifestyle to be able to capture as many deductions as possible. And most importantly, we also talk about ways to monetize their business, how to get revenue in the door, and some of the minor pitfalls or major pitfalls to look out for. And I'll tell you, almost everybody, matter of fact, everybody I've spent an hour with, for the $195 has been able to walk away, either it's in person or on Zoom or just over the phone. They've been able to walk away with a full understanding of what is available to them with the tax code. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and book that consultation with me. Reach out to me directly, AndreReese.biz, and we'll go ahead and get you going. So that's it, guys. I think that's it. I'll go ahead and wrap everything up. I'm in I got the new microphone now. I'm very excited about this here. You guys may remember that from my place I had before in the past. I've got some accessories over here for printing out labels, for selling online. Of course, you got to have a printer. And this is probably one of my favorite pieces of technology right here, my ScanSnap scanner. Can't really see it here that much, but this allows me to have a completely paperless environment, and I definitely enjoy it. So that's it, guys. Enjoyed having you guys here. Take a listen to this phone conversation. If you have any questions, if you've actually quietly quit or been in the process of doing it, or you've done it a number of different times in your life, go ahead and take a moment and let me know in the comments. It'd be definitely interesting to hear. All right, guys, that's it. I think I am done. I got nothing else to say. There's no video to put here in the middle. There's no example of where I took a picture or took a video of myself when I was quietly quitting at another position. So that's it. I'll go ahead and sign out here. It didn't freeze. Peace. All right, guys. Hey, look at that. My teeth are so white. Hey. All right, guys. Take care.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end of this video. Visit me directly at AndreReese.biz. 4 things to do: like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell. Stay safe, guys. Lift the glass to freedom. Stay woke and don't get TikTok. Take care. I will see you guys in the next video.
Bye.